everybody. You're watching this because you have opted to do a take-home glass project, and thank you for that. Your project could be either flowers or trees or whatever the different project is, but it's all handled in about the same way. You'll come to the studio and get your kit, have a lid on it with a label, and inside your kit you'll have glue. There'll be a clear piece of glass that you're going to be working on top of. You'll be getting little containers, Ziploc containers of frit. This is little pieces of colored glass and in different colors. You'll also receive a spoon, either a metal spoon or plastic spoon. You will also get a small little paintbrush and instructions. And depending on the class that you sign up for, there may be some extra materials. In the garden class, the flower class, you'll get a little Ziploc with some stringers that's going to be used for your stems, and bigger pieces of frit that's for your leaves. If you sign up for your landscape class, you'll get 2 pieces of longer stringer. Some of them may be varying sizes and thicknesses. Those will be for your tree trunks and branches. And there's other different things in there that depending on the class. So what I'm going to do is show you a little bit about each class and some little tips and pointers on how to proceed. So the thing that I really like to do is just get a plain piece of white paper and place it down on my table. That keeps my table clean, and it also gives me a surface to work on. When I look through the glass, I'll see white, and it gives me a better idea of what the colors are going to turn out to be. So the 2 that I'm going to demo interchangeably is the landscape, which is trees. And if you notice, these trees have different colors, and the branches are done in different ways. So they're placed down there a little bit differently. But the glass is held horizontally, or it's called a landscape position. So if you're doing the landscape, your glass, you're going to want to hold it horizontally. If you're doing the flower garden, you'll want to hold it vertically. So you'll turn your glass and hold it vertically. Okay? You also will be getting, depending on the project, you'll get a pattern. Now, you don't have to follow the pattern. This is the basic pattern for the landscape, and this is the basic pattern for the flower garden. You don't have to follow that if you don't want to, but it's there for you to feel more comfortable. So let me show you how to use that. First off, the pattern is the same size as the glass, so I'm going to place it down on my white sheet of paper and place my clear glass right on top. And now that gives me a guide for where I put my glass. The first thing I'm going to do is put down my stringers. I'm going to open up my Ziploc, and I'm going to just pour it out onto my white paper. And in that stringer piece is also my leaves. You can put those down now if you want, or you can put them later. What I do is, for that stringer, I'm just going to put a dot at each end. And then I'm going to place it down. Now, some of the stringer might be longer. If you want it to put down and you want to have it put down longer, you can do that. If you want to make it shorter to fit the pattern, all you need to do is take your pointy finger, your thumb, and it breaks very easily, and you can throw that little tiny piece away or make it part of your leaves. That's up to you. So this one, I'm going to keep the length because it's in the center, and I want it to be just a little taller. And this one is a little longer, you see? So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put it through in between my fingers and break. Easy. All right? And if you notice, I put down a very small amount of glue. You don't need a whole lot of glue. So there's my stems. The next part, if you want, you can put your leaves, and I'm just going to put Whoa, that's a lot. Just a tiny amount. In fact, because it's so much, I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to move it back over here. If you get glue on the glass and there's no glass going on top, you get it on the clear glass and there's no glass going on top, don't worry about it. This is clear glue. It's just a clear Elmer's, and that disappears in the kiln. All right, so I'm going to put that down, place it on top with my fingers. And if I want to move it around, I can use the other end of my paintbrush. And I'm not worried too much about the, say, color going on there. I just like the variety. So there's my leaves. Next, the flower. Now I could do the bottom if I wanted to, or the flower. I think I'm going to do the flower. I'm going to take that, put some glue down. And in between using the glue, I'm putting the cover back on so it doesn't dry out. And I'm just moving that glue around. Because my frit, if you've ever worked with glitter as a kid, or you kids, maybe you work with glitter now, anything will stick to it. The glitter will stick to the glue. So this is very similar. These little pieces of frit will stick to the glue, just like the glitter does. So I'm going to open up my Ziploc bag. This is aqua, really pretty color. This is turquoise and yellow. So those are the colors that I chose. Take my spoon, and I'm not going to worry about it going in exactly the right spot, because what I can do is once it's down there, I can move it around with my brush. Now, another thing that you need to make sure of is one layer of glass. Do not pile them up. And the reason for that is if you pile up the glass and it's not one layer on top of that clear piece, what will happen is it won't stick as well. It will fall off when it's in transport back to the studio, and you'll have a problem with it staying on there. So these little pieces, I mean, if you want to use them, they could be the little stems coming up, little seedlings. You could put other little flowers on there. That's up to you. It doesn't matter. I'm going to go about the rest of the flowers in the same way. And the way that I'm doing the ground is very similarly. I'm going to put my glue across, take my glue with my paintbrush, and then place my green on the bottom. So that, when it's done and it's nice and dry, you're going to put it back in the container. The other thing that you can do is spray it with hairspray. Once it's all done, and make believe this is all set up and I've got all my frit down, I'm going to spray it with the hairspray, and that wraps around all of the pieces and secures them even better. All right, so there's my flower. Now let's say the only difference with my landscape, the landscape is pretty much the same thing, except what I'm doing with that is the branches are a little different. So I only get two pieces, but they're longer pieces. One may be thicker, one may be thinner. These are were made in the kiln, and some of them have varying thicknesses. And I like these for trees because it kind of represents the tree trunk a little bit more. The thicker one, this is thicker than this one, is a little bit harder to break. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to break that piece same way, finger and thumb, but it's a little harder. And sometimes I get little points. That's all right. So that's going to be that tree trunk. And I'm just testing it out. That's going to be that tree trunk. And I've got a little piece left over. I'm going to hold on to that. That's going to be that tree trunk. And then this is a little bit thinner on top, so I'm going to use the thicker part of that. And that's that tree trunk. So now I've got some left over, And I'm going to break these into arbitrary smaller pieces. Because now I'm going to use these as my branches. See these little branch lines here? So just like I did with the flower stem, I got a little tiny dot at each end, and then I'm going to do the branches too while I'm at it. I don't need to do the whole thing with glue. And then I'm just going to place that. So one other thing that's not in the kit that you might want to grab if you have it at home is tweezers, because tweezers work really well for the tiny little pieces like this. And you see that's not exactly on the spot of the pattern, but that's how we make things individual. This is a nice big long branch. And you don't have to use all of the stringer. That's up to you too. The rest of this, I'm going to go about the same way that I did my flowers. I'm going to glue, push my glue around with my paintbrush, put my frit on top with my spoon, manipulate it around with the end of my paintbrush, and so on. So when you're finished, you have it all together. Please put it back in the container once it's dry. It's going to go back into the container. You can keep the pattern or you can give me the pattern back. That's up to you. Pattern, nice and dry. Put that in the bottom of your tray. If you have extra bags with frit, I'd appreciate them back. If they have glue on them or glue in them and they're contaminated with glue, just throw them away because that just gets messy here. Please wash your spoon if it got glue and put that back, and definitely wash your paintbrush because it's very important that we're able to reuse it. Your glue, it's important also to make sure you tighten that up if it got loose at all, and make sure that this little cap clicks in place, or else we'll get glue all over your project and it'll be stuck to the bottom. It's okay if it's on top of your project just a little bit, so long as it's dry. Your instructions will have the dates written in that you need to drop this off to be fired. Please, please, please make sure you are on time with that date, or else it's not going to make the kiln and I won't be able to have it for you on the date that I promised to have it finished for you. That's very, very important. Keep your instructions, keep those dates handy so that you can have them and come and pick them up. When you drop them off, make sure that your label is on the top, because I know who it belongs to, and make sure that you come for the pickup time so that you get your project. What I would really love it is if when the project is finished, you're going to get a hook that'll hang in your window. If you were able to go on Instagram and tag and hashtag Heritage Gallery RI and put your picture from the window, or go to my website and subscribe to my emails so that you get information about classes in the future, I would appreciate it. Have a wonderful project, have a wonderful day, and stay safe, everybody. Thank you.